Greetings and welcome back to Hexed Encountered. Today we're taking a deep dive into the far seas. This is by Vuca Simulations. We're going to be running the solo game and playing as the Allies, which is the only side you can play as. And we're going to use the advanced bot, which is approach number 1 of the 3 possible solo approaches that are allowed in the game, or detailed in the game, I should say. So in this video, I'm going to at least walk you through one single complete Operationsbefehl. That is the core turn order that drives the entire game. There can be up to 8 of those in a turn, but the goal is to do at least one completely so you get a feel for how the game works. We're going to start right at the beginning with turn 1, and the first phase of the Operationsbefehl, or OB. And I think to start off, what we're going to actually do is I want to show you kind of how you determine certain things about the bot even before we start actual gameplay. Okay, so the German main cruisers, and there are 8 of them, and they are the core, kind of the core of the game. They are spread out in 2 main areas, Area 9 and Area 32. And you can see here on the map, each area has its own number, so you can find it. And it makes it easy to reference what area ships are in. And they're adjacent to each other. The numbering is a little strange in some places because you do have to jump around, and the way the areas are organized, like 17, for example, has kind of an L shape, but that's just kind of how it is. As far as the canals, you've got the Panama Canal, of course, as well as the Suez Canal. The Germans can't use the Suez Canal, but they can use the Panama Canal. The Allies, of course, can use the Suez Canal. And in this game, as I mentioned, we're playing as the Allies. That means primarily the British, with a lot of Royal Navy ships to move around and use. But there are also some French forces, as you can see here. These guys should not be turned. I was playing around with this earlier. So you see there's 4 French ships, I believe, out here on the board to start. We have 2 Russians up here. We have Japanese. Oh, he's over here. And then you have a bunch that start off on the turn track as far as when they arrive. So you have a British ship, some French, and some British, and then also a bunch of Japanese ships as they enter the war. In turn 2, that is. The convoy system, which is denoted by these lines with the dots on them, that is not in use in turn 1. When we get to turn 2, which hopefully we will, but perhaps not in this video, I will show you how that works. So to get back to what I wanted to start with here, because I don't want to take too much time with any of this, we have our main cruisers in 9 and 32. We have to roll to determine whether they are individual ships or if they've banded together to form a squadron. Now, the way we do that is for Area 9, which is over here in the Caribbean, we roll a die, and if it's 1 to 3, the cruisers are separate, and if it's 4 to 6, they form a squadron. So I'm going to roll 1 die. It's a 3, so they will remain separate. Now, the range is different over here in Area 32. If it's a 1 or a 2, they get placed separately. 3, 4, 2 of them are in a squadron, and 1 is separately by choice, which we can draw chits for. I might just pick, we'll see. If that happens, 5 or 6 will be all of them in one squadron. So we have 3 possibilities. And we have a 4, which means 2 of them will form a squadron and 1 will not. So I think what we'll do is I'll roll, and 1 or 2 will be Scharnhorst alone, 3, 4 Gneisenau alone, and 5 or 6 will be Nuremberg alone. It's a 4, so Gneisenau is going to fly solo, and Scharnhorst and Nuremberg will team up in a squadron. So now that that is done, we can get into actually plotting the German movement. Since the Germans are run by the AI, there is a system to determine what they do each turn. Which ships get activated, because there is a requirement to activate at least 1 main cruiser per OB. And what that means is, well, that's how you can get up to 8 in a turn, because you could activate, as the German player, if this was a 2-player game, you could activate them 1 at a time, or you can pair them up and activate more to make the turn longer or shorter, which is a strategy you can use against the British if you wish to. So that's something that gets lost a little bit in the solo game, but it doesn't lose the fact that you don't know, as the Allied player, what the Germans are exactly going to do. So in order to plot German movement, we're going to roll our die again. and determine the number of individual main cruisers or squadrons that are going to move this OB, right? So we'll have at least one active main cruiser because that is the rule. So 1 or 2 will be a main cruiser or squadron, and 1 AMC, which is an armed merchant cruiser. Then we have 3 to 5 will be 2 main cruisers or squadrons and 2 AMCs. And a 6 is 3 main cruisers or squadrons and 2 AMCs. So let's roll. And we got a 3. And a 3 is 2 main cruisers or squadrons and 2 AMC. Now you may say, well, how do you know if it's just 2 cruisers or if it's 2 squadrons? Well, you roll to determine, well, actually you draw chits from a cup. That'll tell you how many or what ships get activated. So we have our 8 cruisers here, the main cruisers. I'm going to put them all in a pile and I'm going to toss them in the cup. But before I do that, I will show you what they look like. And if you watch the first look, you've already seen them, so I won't make this take too long. So right here at the top, you see Gneisenau, and then there's Scharnhorst and Dresden and so on, right? Nuremberg, Leipzig. That's Leipzig again. Which one did I miss? Königsberg and Emden. Okay, so in the cup they go. Take them up. I'm going to reach in. I'm going to pull 2 out. And we got Nuremberg, which is over here, with Scharnhorst. And Karlsruhe is the other one. And the Karlsruhe is in area 9. So we're going to have 9 and 32 activated first. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take 2 of these black pawns and I'm going to put them on the individuals. Now, Karlsruhe is a solo. And Nuremberg is with the Scharnhorst, so they're going to be together. Okay, so now we're going to use these yellow cubes to mark tempting areas for the cruisers to move. So these would be places they could move. And the criteria is if it has a station, and a station is something like Mombasa right here, which has a 1 next to it. So you're looking for things that have 2. So Port Moresby, which is adjacent to 32, has 2. So that's going to get 1. So that is a tempting target for the Germans to raid. Now, up here in 31, they've got Tsingtao Port, which is only a 1. So they're not going to worry about that one. Also adjacent is 29, which has Singapore and Christmas Island. And so they get 1. And over here, this connects to 4 and 2. So 4 has 2 stations. That gets 1. And I think these merchant boxes, that's what this is. Merchant boxes as well are legitimate. Phase 1, okay, if it's station VPs greater or equal to 2 and merchant density greater than 1, or greater than 0 rather. So this one has a 3. So this is a really tempting, of course it's Australia, right? So that's a big part of the British Commonwealth or Empire, if you will. Let's say Commonwealth of Australia there. Now, 30, actually, no, that's 31. They don't connect to 30, so you don't have to worry about that. And over here, we just have a 1 there. So the way I'm reading it, we've got area 29, Singapore and Christmas Island, and 1 merchant. Over here in, this is 28, they've got 3 merchant and 2 for Port Moresby. Now these here, these black ones, these are German colonies. So you've got New Guinea, Cameroon, Samoa, and Tsingtao, which is up here. Okay, so let's move on to what the Karlsruhe can do. So here in 9, they've got a 3 convoy and 3 total stations, so they're going to get a yellow. Actually, it's not an adjacent, sorry. So here we've got no stations. Here we've got stations, so this one will get 1. And I think that's it. See, I feel like that should be 1. Let me check the rules real quick. I don't want to mess this up. Okay, so that is a no. I think actually that one's in 9. So is this one. They're both in 9. I had them in the wrong spot. Like I said, I was messing around with this earlier, testing things to make sure I didn't mess this up too badly when I played for real. Okay, so yeah, the balance of power in Area 9, heavily in favor of the Allies. Oh, we have to check for an RTB, which is return to base. So I won't get into all of the modifiers and things because this is turn one and they don't really take effect yet, but there are modifiers that would increase the chance of you rolling an RTB order. Now, basically the way it works is if you can get to Germany, which of course is there, or area 13 with before the end of the game, which is turn 9, then you have the possibility of receiving a return to base order. Obviously this one's only 1, 2 away, so they could clearly get an RTB order. Now in 32 they have a little bit more difficult path, right? The shortest way would be to go around, right? Now, so we count, this would be 1. Now, if they could get here and go through the canal, that would be shorter, of course, but because of all the Allied ships in this area, in Area 9, that's off the table for them at the moment. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So both activated groups are eligible. Let's start with 9. If I roll a 6, they get an RTB order. And we got a 3. Now the same thing for Scharnhorst and Nuremberg. Oh, look at that. So they get an RTB order. Now, there is a thing that's called, in the advanced rules, that's called strategically. If we place a colored cube in each area right now, additional, right? So let's take, we'll take these black ones. We'll use black cubes here. So we mark our path. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Now we check each box in the path, and if there are 3 or less unmoved Allied ships, okay, so if they can go around ships that are 3 or less, and in this case they cannot, because there's no way to go around this one. They have to go through there because the rule already blocks them from going through the canal. So we could try to go the other direction. So let's count that out real quick. This route is out, so that would cancel that order. So now we would go, let's say 1, because that has 2 ships in it. Actually, it has none. It has no ships in it. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 3 here. 5, 6, 7, 8. They could do it. They could do it. So if that's the case, then it appears we get an order to return to base for the Scharnhorst and the Nuremberg. And you do get victory points for getting them back to Germany. Or I should say the Germans get victory points for getting them back to Germany. Not the victory point track is along the side and the bottom, and it goes around the battle box, and then it goes all the way over here, and it goes to 80. If it gets to 80, the Germans win, and it's like a debacle for the Allies, particularly the British, and all sorts of ahistorically awful things would happen to the British naval leadership. I guess the Admiralty would take a pounding. But we have 8 steps to get there, so it is possible. Okay, so for the moment, I'm going to keep this black cube here because this is the first step in our path back. Now, on our ship log, which I have not talked about yet, you can see each of the 8 German ships, the main cruisers here, have identifiers, and there is a RTB box here that you can add to. So for Scharnhorst and Nuremberg, they would both get a 1 on here, and that would get added to their die roll next turn when they check again. But they are basically kind of locked into moving here, which was on their menu already for being a tempting target. And so we'll roll when we get to phase 3. But now we're going to return to go through the British or Allied movement turn. From the Allied standpoint, strategy-wise, this is how I kind of conceptualize this. When you move a ship, you have to turn it 90 degrees. So let's just say, for the sake of argument, that we were going to move these 3 ships up here, right? And we're going to put one on Martinique, and we're going to put one on Barbados, and we're going to put one in this box, right? Since we know that this ship can go there, right? So those three have moved. The thing is, you don't want to possibly willy-nilly, let's say, move your boats all over the place, or your ships, because if you move them, then you've moved them this turn. And since we're going to have multiple OBs, you don't want to move ships around that won't have an immediate impact in the turn, because it reduces your ability to respond to what the Germans do, the German bot does, in future OBs. We know 2 cruisers, or a squadron and a cruiser, are moving. This one and this one. And in the 2-player game, you would still know, because the German player is required to denote which ships are being activated. Doesn't have to say what order they're getting or where they're moving, but he does have to let the Allies know that they are, in fact, going to do something. So that carries over here into the solo mode, whereas the British player or the Allied player, I'm going to refer to them as the British probably all game long, only because there are so many of these Royal Navy ships and very few French, well, the Japanese have a decent amount, but very few French, Russian, and Japanese ships comparably. So we know that that's true. Now we can also, I'm going to move this French ship, the Duplay. We're going to move that to 29, and I'm going to put that in the merchant area to protect any merchant shipping. Then I will take the Minotaur, and we're going to move that down here, and we'll put that one on Singapore. And Yarmouth, we will move to Christmas Island. Okay, so we are kind of taking advantage of our knowledge, but so we don't have to move anybody here, so they're all free and will remain so. And the Australia is a really good ship, so we're happy to not lock that into something. I mean, it's tempting to move it to Port Moresby, but once the Germans, assuming the Germans actually do move here, they would then be able to search for them, because they have not moved. We can move on. I don't think I'm going to move. We should move somebody up here. So let's move the Montcalm was on Tahiti. I'm going to move them up here to Fiji, because they shouldn't have been on Tahiti anyway. Then we'll take, these are all weak ships, but we'll move 2 up anyway. Move 1 here. Actually, I'm going to move everybody up 1, I think. I'm moving him here because I want to move him into box 3. And then we'll move this one to there. So now we're covering all the possible point areas over here. That will prevent us from searching for the Germans, but it will also hamper the Germans' attempt to gain victory points by raiding any of those 3 areas in there. Okay, so that completes the British phase. So now we go to phase 3, which is German movement. And this is where we determine where, in fact, the German ships move. Then we'll go to turn 4, and we'll start resolving all the things that can happen after the Germans move. Okay, so we'll start over here, since these guys. So they would go to the most tempting area. And the most tempting area, believe it or not, is now this one, because Port Moresby is not covered. So we're going to roll a die, and we want a 5 or a 6. Okay, 5 or 6 means they move there. A 1 to 4 means they don't, and we check the next tempting area, which is probably this one. Yes, it would be this one. And then if that also fails, we would check this one, and then we would use what's called the dummy test to actually determine where they go. So let's do this. And the roll is a 6, so they succeed, and they're moving here. So I'm going to remove these blocks now. Okay. Oh, I should have checked the RTB first. So I did mess that up. I need to check RTB first, I believe. So let me check on that real quick to make sure that I'm not messing this up, as I think I am. Okay, I was right. Because this area had 2 cubes, and this one only had 1, that would have been the first one to check, so they move here. So that clears that up. And now again, we will check our RTB order next turn to make sure the order stands, and they will get a +1 die roll modifier, so a 5 or a 6 would result in them having to go back. Okay, So they've moved there. Now let's check where this guy moves. So the most tempting area for him is the only one he has available, which is right there. So I'm going to roll it anyway, but he's going to end up moving there. And it's a 5, so he moved there anyway. So I'm going to move him here. Okay, and he gets turned. I forgot to do that. And we can take the marker off. Okay, so they've moved there. They've moved there. I just realized I forgot to do something. I forgot to do the AMC portion of the phase 1. So in the advanced game, any AMC that is in the same area as one of the German cruisers, in this case, that would be the Crown Prince Wilhelm, they would also move. So I'm going to put them in here. I think, well, you need to check to see if they are a squadron, actually, when you get in the box. So that's one of them. Now, the other one, there is no, Gneisenau is in 32 by itself now. So we would have to draw, I think, randomly within. So we select any AMCs that is or are within a range of 1 to 2 areas with an adjacent area counting as 1 toward the drawn main cruisers or squadron. So we would be looking here then. And there are a couple of them up there. So we would choose either the Crown, the Prince Friedrich here, or the Cormoran. So I think we'll just take the Cormoran. So we're going to take the Cormoran. I just had its random chit there. And it would have moved 2, so it would be with these guys now. Now, we also, once we moved in here, we have to draw our assignment chits for both groups. But first I wanted to roll to, actually, no, we roll after. We roll after we move. So, yeah, we would still roll. So the way this works is we roll to see if they stay in formation, right? So we roll 1 to 3. They break up in this case. 4 to 6, they stay together. So they stay together in a squadron. Now these two were not in a squadron, so we're going to roll. And if it's 1 to 3, they form one, and 4 to 6, they stay separate. And it's a 4 again. So they stay separate. They're in a squadron. Now we have to draw chits to see what assignments they're going to carry out in their areas. Okay, so looking here, now typically when a ship is on station, that precludes the Germans from doing a raid. But if they just moved there during this OB, which is the case, they're fair game. So the Germans will put 2 chits of these, where is it, station raids. These 2 will go in the cup. There'll be 1 more for this one, which is a 1-point station. So that's 3 of those. And then there would be 1 for this merchant capture, which is 1 victory point. So they'll get 1 of those. Now we also get a surprise attack chit because they moved this OB. So I'm going to throw that in there too. And we're going to draw out 1 and see what we get. We get a station raid. So they would of course choose to attack the most advantageous one, which would be this one. Okay. Oops, no, we're supposed to roll for it. It's a 1, that's the 2 VP. So 1, 2, 3 would be the first choice. 4, 5, 6 would be the second choice. Okay, now we have to figure out what happens over here. All right, I'm curious to find out what happens here, so we'll figure this out before we go to the other place. So since they did not form a convoy, we're going to actually have to, I think, or form a squadron rather, not a convoy. So AMCs only do merchant attacks, and that one's protected. So they won't, I guess, do anything this turn. So we're really figuring out what this one's going to do. Now we get, again, 2 chits for station raids and 1 for merchant. So, and a surprise attack as well. Merchant capture, station raid, station raid. All right. This time we get merchant capture. Okay. So what I'm going to do is mark them, which I was supposed to do anyway. So we know what we're doing, and now we can resolve them here. So this is phase 4, I believe. Yes. Now, the British or Allies, see, I keep doing it, they could search for the Germans if they had not moved into an area. Like here, if the Germans had moved into this area, all of these ships could have performed a search, which would have given them an opportunity to have an encounter and potentially a battle, or to run. Either side can try to run to avoid battle based on the speed of their ships, but that did not happen anywhere. Move this as well, because the two areas where they ended up moving to, the Allied ships had moved already in this OB there, so they're rotated, and that means they can't do anything. Okay, so let's resolve this first. So we have automatic discovery. Okay, they're sitting here getting ready to be on station, and the Germans roll up. They spot them. The AMC cannot participate, so it's the Scharnhorst and the Nuremberg coming in to raid Singapore. The Minotaur is there, can defend. Now, the Minotaur and the Scharnhorst are a pretty even match for each other. They're both B. They both have a -2 fire die roll modifier, and the Minotaur has a slightly higher ship defense, I guess. I forget what it's called. It's the shield. Let me look in the rule book here. Damage capacity, that's it. All right. Speed-wise, Minotaur's a 4, Scharnhorst is a 4-, and Nuremberg is a 4. So the Germans will automatically attack because they're a squadron taking on a single ship. And I, as the Allied player, have the opportunity to either stand and fight or run. Now, as I said, we're kind of outgunned here, so I think the prudent decision would be to attempt to run. So as tempting as it may be to show you guys a battle in this video, I think I'm going to try to run. Okay, so since the Scharnhorst is a 4- speed, as you can see there, and Nuremberg's a 4, and Minotaur's a 4, but these are together as a squadron, so they have to stick together. So that gives the squadron a speed of 4-, which is 1 grade slower, which means the Minotaur has an advantage in trying to run away. The Germans will roll a die. If we roll a 6 for the Germans, they catch them. Anything else, 1 through 5, the Minotaur gets away. 1, they got away. Now, there is a thing called cowardice victory points that could be awarded to the Germans. That would apply if you're running from a ship of equal or lesser strength than you. In this case, the Minotaur and the Scharnhorst are the same. So that would mean they would lose 3 victory points if they ran away. Now, they did run away, but because Scharnhorst is part of a squadron with a second ship, they do not have to worry about cowardice points. Okay, so let's resolve this now, finish it up. So they move, and I get to pick where. So I think we'll move them, and they get flipped over to show that they're finished. They're going to get flipped back and move back to 30. These are both going to get flipped over as well. We do have to put a rated marker on Singapore to show that it has been rated and cannot be rated again in the game. You only get to raid a station once. The Germans will get 2 victory points. Okay, so we put this on Singapore to indicate it has been raided. We put the 2 Germans flipped over. The Cormoran also gets flipped over because it's not able to raid the merchant area or merchant capture because it's protected, and putting 1 ship on there makes that a 0, so there's nothing to gain there. These 2 remain as they are turned, meaning they can't move, but they are protecting those areas now, and anybody who does come in subsequent to this on a further OB will not be able to raid either of those stations. Okay, so now we need to resolve Area 8 over here, where we know, actually, we have 2 AMCs here. I just realized that. But we're going to have this guy go in for the merchant capture. All right, so this is the Karlsruhe, and you can see it's got a C, -4, a 3. So the C is its gun range, okay, and that's on the battle board, which you will see at some point. It's actually here. This is C, which is close. Then you have B and A, and you typically start your battles at A. So both sides, Allies over here and Germans over here. Then as the battle progresses, they'll move closer to each other until everybody's close enough to pound away. Some ships have range of A. They can pound away right away. In this case, he's a C. The 4 is the fire roll modifier. So you roll a d6 and he takes a -4 automatically to hit, which means basically he's a lower caliber weapon. And if he does hit, he's not going to do a lot of damage. If you rolled a 6, you would have a 2. And that's, I think, 1 point of damage, or maybe 2 at the most. I think it's 1 though, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I'd have to look. So anyway, the British ship, HMS Hyacinth, is a C, same, -3, so actually slightly better, a little bit better gun. They are also 3 on their damage capacity, and the speed favors the Germans. The Karlsruhe is faster, 4+, than the Hyacinth, 3+. So what we have is kind of similar to what we had before, in that the Germans approach. The Hyacinth sees them. It has just arrived on station, and in this case, it cannot run because, well, it can try to run, but we would be eligible, I think, for cowardice. Yes, we would be eligible for cowardice points this time. So I think what we're going to do here is we're going to have a battle. So you're going to get to see a battle after all. So let me set this up, and I will move the camera so you can get a better look at the battle board. Okay, I jumped the gun a bit. Because they're even, and they actually have a slightly better fire modifier, the bot would run. So we're not going to have a battle. And because the 4+ is more than 2 grades, it's actually, well, it is 2 grades. It's 2 grades better than 3+. Because you'd have 4- and then 4, and then 4+ for the Karlsruhe. So there is no battle. They're going to stay here on station. And I did put the battle marker there on area 8 to indicate there was a fight there. Karlsruhe is going to get flipped, and it's going to move, and I'll move it back to where it started in area 9. Okay, so these 2 guys are going to also, well, actually Trafalgar is not, because it didn't do anything. So that actually brings us to phase 5. Germans hit and go home. So the German decides for main cruisers with a, wait, that's not the solitaire one. Let's see, solitaire phase 5. Okay, capture merchant ships, attempt to return to Germany. If return to Germany ship was drawn, no. So no, I guess that's it. Germans hit and go home. We score victory points, so they get 2 victory points. I'll take that. And attacking a convoy, not yet. Attempt to return to Germany. We did not draw the chit. We don't have any squadrons in area 13, which is here, which would elect to go home. I'm not using the optional rule for a raid on England, so we don't have to worry about that. AMCs will always go for merchant capture if possible. Okay, and then it says remove black pawns, which I did not do. I already did, I guess. So they will not be able to do that. So I think I flipped that one as well. Well, no, because they can move and be activated. All right. So I think that only applies to the activated AMCs. So that actually completes the OB. And so now we would basically start over, draw new chits for the Germans, and go through the whole routine again until all 8. So we have 6 of the cruisers that have not been activated yet. Leipzig, the Dresden, the Gneisenau, the Emden, and the Königsberg. Why do I feel like I'm missing one? That's only 5. Oh, because Nuremberg and Scharnhorst were a squadron. So I actually had 3 German cruisers activated, and 5 are left. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I will endeavor to do a second part, hopefully within the next couple days. But for now, I'm going to wrap this up. I do like to do them close together just so I can clean up some table space for other games, to be honest. It's hard for me to leave something set up for a very long time. Anyway, that is a digression we don't currently need. Anyway, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. If you want to see more, you can cheer me on by saying so in the comments. And anything else you want to say, questions or whatever, please put them in the comment section. I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. While you're here, it would be awesome if you'd consider liking, sharing, or hyping, or perhaps even subscribing if you're not already a subscriber. And if you are, thank you for that. I do want to give my shout out to my channel members. I appreciate the support from everyone. Click the join button to get more information on that. If you do subscribe, you could click the bell to get notified when new videos pop up. But I guess even if you don't do any of that stuff, hopefully you'll come back and check out something else down the road. But we're done now with this one. So again, thank you all for watching. I'm Joe. This is Hexed Encountered. And until next time, as always, happy gaming.